The drowsy sun barely pushed back the gloom as the silhouettes of Westbrook, Maine crept into sight. Along the contorted tangle of roads, the chipped paint of colonial buildings stared out at the world with vacant windows, their history whispering tales of yesteryears. Amid this panorama of quaint antiquity, the figure of Westbrook Asylum squatted on a hilltop, a gargoyle in the midst of sparrows. Henry Wilkerson squinted through the windshield of his well-worn Buick, the yellowed lights battling the early morning fog. His keen detective's gaze, hardened by years of untangling the threads of the sinister and strange, couldn't help but linger on the asylum's pallid silhouette. A shiver trickled down his spine, a cold finger tracing old scars of dread and anxiety. He pulled out an old photograph of his wife, the corners worn down by countless caresses. The smile, frozen in time, still managed to ease the knot in his chest, a solace in his labyrinth of solitude. "Got to keep you safe, Emma," he murmured, his voice carrying the weight of a promise. An oath etched onto his soul as he glanced at his daughter's photograph pinned to the dashboard. Upon reaching Westbrook Asylum, he parked his Buick next to the wrought iron gate, its rusted hinges groaning against the stillness. As he stepped out, the sharp wind cut through his trench coat, its icy fangs sinking into his skin. He held the brim of his fedora, resisting the gales that attempted to rob him of his comfort. The looming asylum was a monument to mankind's desire to cage the intangible, the mind. It was an embodiment of past inhumanities, its crumbling facade a testament to countless silenced screams. Its echoing emptiness, however, was now interrupted by an unfamiliar figure waiting at the threshold. "A hell of a place for a rendezvous," Henry called out, his footfall crunching on the frost-kissed gravel, the sound swallowed by the cold morning air. "It's fitting for the absurdity we're dealing with, Detective," the stranger replied, a hint of anxious anticipation lacing his cryptic words. His face was buried beneath the shadows of a broad hat, his silhouette framed against the asylum's disquieting backdrop. A sealed envelope exchanged hands, the weight of the contents heavy with implications. Henry's weathered fingers flipped it open, and as he scanned the details of the bizarre case, his mind worked to weave together this latest enigma. Unknown life form, Westbrook Asylum, urgent assistance. The absurdity of the situation was not lost on him, yet his sense of duty, his longing to shield Emma from the world's unknown horrors, cemented his resolve. And so the seasoned detective, tethered to the world by love and loss, stood before the gaping maw of the Westbrook Asylum, poised to descend into the abyss of the unknown. As he took his first step towards the entrance, he glanced back at the stranger who was now retreating into the mist, leaving him alone at the precipice of an unfolding mystery. He was poised at the precipice of the Westbrook Asylum, the echoes of his past traumas resurfacing as he found himself drawn into the town's eerie secrets. With a heavy heart and a stalwart spirit, he prepared to delve into the asylum's bowels, unbeknownst of the insidious forces that await him within. The time-worn doors of the asylum creaked open, surrendering to Henry's push. A gust of air, heavy with the stench of mold and rot, swept past him, a sentient sigh that seemed to whisper 1,000 untold secrets. His eyes, half squinted against the assault of dust particles, took in the cavernous lobby, a haunting panorama of decay and desolation. A chandelier, its opulence tarnished by years of neglect, loomed above him, its crystalline shards catching the somber light that seeped in through the grime-streaked windows. Beneath it, a grand staircase sprawled out, its once majestic elegance now reduced to a skeletal mockery. As he walked deeper into the asylum, his footsteps echoed, a heartbeat in the silent expanse. He couldn't shake off the feeling of being watched, his detective's instinct prickling at the edges of his consciousness. The omnipresent chill seemed to carry a malevolent sentience, a phantom breath that grazed his nape. In one of the dilapidated rooms, he discovered a stack of moth-eaten patient records, each file a testament to a soul trapped within these unforgiving walls. He found himself drawn to one particular file, a patient who was described as displaying extraordinary symptoms, incongruent with any known illness. The report spoke of horrific experiments, of a being born not of this world. The deeper he delved into the narrative, the further he felt himself slipping into a realm of implausibility. Yet as he read the spidery handwriting of a long-gone doctor, a quote from an ancient scripture he once studied caught his eye. "From the cosmic sea, life unknown shall rise, plunging man into madness." The cryptic writings no longer felt like the ramblings of a deranged mind. A feeling of dread seized him, tethering him to a terrifying reality that lurked beneath the asylum's sordid history. As he moved deeper into the asylum, the chilling sensation of being followed grew stronger. A fleeting figure reflected in a shattered mirror, the whisper of a shuffle, a shadow darting just at the edge of his vision. His seasoned intuition warned of danger, skulking in the darkness. It was as though the asylum was not just a monument to human suffering, but a living, breathing organism, its eerie heartbeat pulsating with a life of its own. After what felt like an eternity, he stumbled upon a chamber deep within the asylum, its heavy metal door scarred by time and human desperation. Inside was an amphitheater, an eerie spectacle of rusted surgical instruments and a tarnished observation dome. In the center, a solitary gurney cast long, twisted shadows that danced with the flicker of his flashlight. And then, for a fleeting moment, a grotesque form flickered into existence, a phantom echo in the dome's murky depths. A form that defied all understanding, all natural laws, pulsating with an alien life force. His mind struggled to comprehend the sight, the sheer impossibility of the entity's existence, sending waves of terror and awe coursing through him. He stepped out of the chamber, his mind a whirlpool of terror and revelation. With each step, his grasp on reality grew tenuous. The asylum seemed to close in on him, the eeriness growing palpable. He was descending into the madness the asylum harbored, teetering on the edge of a cosmic horror that threatened to consume him. He found himself alone in the labyrinthine corridors of the asylum, the boundaries of his understanding stretched thin by the absurdity of his discovery. With the presence of an ominous entity looming over him, he stood at the threshold of a revelation that could shatter his perception of the world, poised to enter the realm of cosmic horror. As Henry grappled with the reality of his monstrous discovery, he returned to the enigmatic patient file. Among the faded papers, an annotated map revealed a forgotten passage leading to a subterranean chamber beneath the asylum. His heart clenched with a dread-filled anticipation as he prepared himself for the descent into the asylum's belly. The passage was a serpentine maze lined with damp, cold stones that wept the asylum's history into their mossy fabric. The whispers of forgotten patients seemed to echo in the muffled drips of water and the distant hollow howls that bled through the ancient structure. The air hung heavy, suffused with a primordial fear that clung to his throat with each breath. In the subterranean chamber, shrouded in an ominous gloom, he found a ritualistic tableau. Strange symbols adorned the walls, an uncanny language that resonated with an ancient, otherworldly energy. A lingering essence of the entity seemed to saturate the chamber, bending the very fabric of reality into a surreal spectacle. And in the center, a stone altar bore an engraved image of the cosmic entity he had glimpsed in the observation dome, elevating it to a deity's status. Beneath the altar, he found a collection of letters. As he traced the neat, hurried handwriting, the shocking truth unfolded before him. The stranger who had guided him to Westbrook Asylum was part of a clandestine cult that worshipped the entity. The cult had been pulling the strings all along, luring him into their macabre theater, intending to use him as a sacrificial vessel to strengthen their god. The revelation sent a cold surge of fear coursing through his veins. But amidst the horror, his resolve did not waver. His thoughts, steeped in selflessness, turned to his beloved Emma. He had ventured into the belly of this horror to protect her, and he was not about to let the fear dictate his actions. The weight of his predicament pressed down on him like the cold stone walls of the chamber, the asylum's vile truth seeping into his pores. Yet with despair came a spark of empathy. He found himself trying to comprehend the entity's existence, its pain reflecting his own torment and loneliness. The revelation resonated with his past trauma, his grief for his lost wife, painting a poignant picture of mutual understanding between man and cosmic being. As he re-emerged from the chamber, he felt a seismic shift in the asylum's atmosphere. The shadows that followed him seemed more tangible, the whispers more coherent. The elusive figures that haunted the periphery of his vision solidified. The cult members emerging from their hiding, their intentions now crystal clear. Henry stood against the tide of robed figures, their insidious smiles barely discernible beneath the hooded shadows. The asylum's bowels echoed with their incantations, the ancient alien language reverberating in the oppressive air. Yet, in the face of looming chaos, he stood unyielding, his spirit strengthened by the echoes of his love for Emma and the memory of his wife. His gaze was drawn towards the observation dome, the cosmic entity pulsating within. The terror that once clawed at his sanity had transformed into an inexplicable connection, a silent understanding that transcended the realms of human comprehension. "I'm not your sacrificial lamb," his voice boomed in the chamber, clashing against the dissonant hum of the cult's chanting. His stern visage softened as he turned to the entity, his words now a whisper in the suffocating silence. "I know what it's like, being alone, being misunderstood." The entity's response was not verbal, but rather a ripple in the air, an intense wave of emotions that washed over him. Sadness, loneliness, a plea for release. It was a mirror image of the heart-wrenching despair he had lived through, a mirror held up against his own soul. Driven by a shared understanding of their solitude and torment, he made his decision. He would not succumb to the cult's malevolent intentions. Instead, he would offer the entity the liberation it craved. He stepped forward, his hands reaching out toward the shimmering form. A surge of energy jolted through him, a chaotic orchestra of cosmic awareness that threatened to shatter his consciousness. In his final act of defiance and compassion, he opened his mind to the entity, acting as a conduit for it to escape the earthly shackles. The asylum shook with the raw, cosmic energy's release, the cult members cowering in the face of their deity's true might. A moment later, the entity was gone, leaving behind a hollow silence that echoed in the now desolate asylum. Henry collapsed, his energy drained, yet a sense of relief washed over him. He had managed to save both himself and the entity, their shared trauma fostering an unprecedented bond that transcended human understanding. The cult members scattered, their plans thwarted. The asylum's malevolent aura dissipated, giving way to an eerie peace. Exhausted yet victorious, Henry picked himself up and trudged towards the exit, leaving behind the horrid chapter of the Westbrook Asylum. As he stepped into the dawning light, the morning sun seemed warmer, its golden rays basking the world in an ethereal glow. He returned to his Buick, the whispers of the asylum's horrors gradually fading into the background. As he looked at the photographs of Emma and his wife, he realized he was not alone in his journey. Their love had been his beacon in the face of cosmic horror. He drove away from the Westbrook Asylum, his spirit bearing the weight of a cosmic horror faced and conquered. Despite the harrowing journey, he found solace in his victory and the understanding he shared with the cosmic entity, a testament to his kindness and selfless love. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, like it and subscribe to our channel, where you can find more similar stories, and click on the bell icon to never miss one. There is plenty more cosmic horror to come from the Eldritch Tales Factory. Stay tuned, and until next time.